Hi, in this SIDEWALK video, we'll be talking about animation retargeting in Unreal Engine 5. So the method and workflow for animation retargeting has changed from Unreal Engine 4 to 5. So the workflow is a little bit different, and primarily this time they've introduced this new IK rig method, okay, for the retargeting process. So we'll be demonstrating that in this video. Okay, so once again, I will begin with a demonstration without explanation. Then after that, we'll go into a detailed breakdown. Okay, so let's begin.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
All right, that concludes the demo. Okay, right. So as you can see, the workflow is fairly straightforward and quite simple. It still does have its tedious parts, but overall the results, and workflow is really much simpler than expected. Okay. And what it really entails essentially are two things. First, it requires a retargeter. And the retargeter is this object over here. You can create your own by having a right click animation and IK retargeter. Okay. And what the retargeter involves is basically a source IK rig asset, okay, and a target IK rig asset. So this is the second part of this this workflow. You need a retargeter object, and then you need two IK rigs, one for the source and one for the target. By plugging in the source and the target IK rigs into the retargeter, okay, you can then go on to select the animations that you wish to retarget, and then just go to this retarget option here, plug in the retargeter, and then just change a naming convention and the folder to which to copy the files to, and then just hit the retarget button. So the workflow in that sense is very simple and very straightforward. So the only thing that you sort of have to really kind of get used to is how to create an IK rig, right? So as you can see from the demonstration, all you have to do is to right click over here, go to animation and create IK rig, and the IK rig will then pop up a menu here and ask you which skeletal mesh are you creating this IK rig for. Okay, so you just have to point it to your skeletal mesh, right, like what I did here, and give it a name, and then open it up, right? Then you're gonna see an interface that's very similar to your skeletal mesh editor, right? But with one difference. This panel over here, right, allows you to set up your IK chains, okay? So what are these chains? So these chains are basically, the string of bones, right, that form somewhat like a limb, right, or a sequence of bones, okay? So you just have to define these bones, and usually for bipedal characters, this is fairly standard. You just have more or less bones, depending on your bipedal character. So for example, for your spine, you would usually start from a spine bone and then work its way up to the bone just before the neck bone, right? In this case, it's the upper chest bone over here, okay? So some bipedal characters will have more, some may have even less, okay? And the workflow here is sort of dependent on your source IK rig. In this particular demo, we chose the Unreal Mannequin as our source IK. So this is quite a quick and easy way to get started with retargeting, because half of it is already set up for you. So I would really advise you to try this. Okay, so you just have to go to the mannequins rig over here, okay, and you will have your IK retargeter, and you have your IK rig for the mannequin over here. Okay, opening this up, right, you will see all the chains that have been set up for the mannequin, and as a recommended workflow, you should probably try to set up your chains with a similar chain name as your source, okay, when you prepare your your target IK rig. So you might find yourself kind of hopping back and forth a little bit just to refer to the names, but it's really very straightforward. You just have to take note of the naming convention that they use here, and it's usually just left clavicle, left arm, left foot, right? Okay. So what I've done, okay, over here is that you can either manually create your chains by clicking on the add new chain over here, setting the name of the chain, and then assigning the starting bone, right, which is spine over here, and with the ending bone being the upper chest bone, okay, over here. So this is one way for you to set up the IK chain. And the other method that you can use, which is much simpler, is just to go to the hierarchy over here and select the bone, right? And then just shift and select the end bone, right click, and then new target chain from selected bones. Okay, then you can change the name over here and click OK, and it's very quickly set up over here for you, right? So you just have to do this and follow the naming conventions over here. You may have less bones, and that's not a problem. So in my case, I skipped the fingers. For clavicles, right, I used the shoulder bone, and then for arms, like so. For the leg, I started from up leg to left foot, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay. So within the demo, I have also created these IK goals, and those are really for situations where you start to see the foot kind of going through the ground or something like that, right? So what you want to do is you want to go to your limbs, like your right foot or your left foot, right click on it, and then create a new IK goal, right? I'll just use the limb IK over here, and you can see this yellow box appear. And when you set up your chains, remember to set the IK goal using this option over here. Okay. Right. So that's the gist of it. Once you have set up all the chains for the character, you can just hit save. Okay. And then once you have your target IK rig and you have your source IK rig, then the next step is just to go to the IK retargeter and assign the target IK rig to this option over here, right? Okay. So once it's set up, you will also notice that in the default pose, right, your source character may look something like this. Actually, just before that, right, let's just hop back a little bit. I forgot to mention one thing. Okay, so within your IK rig, you also need to set the root bone. So as you can see over here for your source IK rig, the root bone is the pelvis bone over here, right? There is a root bone over here, but the retarget root should be the hip bone or the pelvic bone over here, right? So we just identify that bone, select it over here, right click, and then set retarget root. Okay, so this is very important for the retargeting process. So for my example, what I've done here is I have selected, sorry, this is not it. Right, I have selected the hip bone over here, right click and set retarget root. And then you kind of see it appear over here, right? All right, so that's it for the IK rig. Right, so back here, what we have here is a character that's in T pose. And then, but my source character is in the A pose. So this will kind of mess up your retargeting, okay? Especially like when you see it kind of run here like this, okay? You can see that most of it kind of retargets really nicely, right? Except for the arms, right? Because their starting positions were different. Okay. So what you gotta do is that you gotta create a new pose over here. You might call it an A pose, or or whatnot. Click OK, and then go edit the pose, right? Then all you have to do here is just to rotate the individual bones to match your source pose as closely as you can. Okay, right? So in this case, I rotated the clavicle, the upper arm bone, as well as the forearm bone to match my source. Okay, so this was fairly sufficient, okay, to get a good result. Maybe this one needs to go a little bit more. Right, so once you're done, you just click on edit pose to exit the mode, right? And then you can try taking a look at some of these animations over here, okay, to see how it looks. Okay, so this looks great. Then you just have to save the IK retargeter, okay, and that's important for the next step. So you have created your IK rigs, you plug them into your IK retargeter, and you change the settings in there, then all you have to do now is just go to the individual animation files. Okay, right? You can select, you can batch select them, right click and retarget animations and set your IK retargeter. Okay, you can add a suffix or prefix to your naming conventions, change the folder location, and just hit retarget, and then the workflow is done, right? And then you get all the animations brought over. Okay, right, and that's it. That's the whole workflow for animation retargeting. Okay. Yeah, so I'm using this video to kind of introduce the basic workflow for retargeting, right? But it is actually part of a larger kind of workflow, especially if you want to start plugging your animations into a third-person controller or something like that, right? Which will be covered in a separate video. Okay, and I hope this helps. Right, thanks for watching.